shenanigans.
All right, the way it works, every show, our hosts bring you topics they want to share. I'll ask them, is it truth, lies, or shenanigans? Our host will talk about it for a bit until time is up. And then we'll go to you, the audience, our online audience, for questions and comments. Make sure you are talking to us online. That's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We are listening to you, Twitter even, at TLS Live Show. All right, we're starting out with Andrew Brown Jr. There's definitely some shenanigans going on down in North Carolina. There have been protests and demands for answers after Andre Brown Jr., age 42, was fatally shot by deputies in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. He's trying to, Andrew. Did I say Andre? I said Andre, didn't I? Andrew Brown Jr. Apparently, that video footage is so bad, they preemptively declared a state of emergency in North Carolina before allowing the family to view the video. They were expecting protests. His family did watch some of the body cam video on Monday, and said it shows Brown had his hands on a car steering wheel and he posed no threat when he was shot. A private autopsy commissioned by the family found he was shot 5 times, including once in the back of the head. Attorney Ben Crump described it as an execution. And then yesterday, the FBI announced it was opening a federal civil rights investigation into the shooting death. Now, there was video today released of a military-style team driving up in a packed pickup truck. The sheriff's office said that they used the SWAT-style team because Brown was a convicted felon and had a history of resisting arrest, which meant the procedure was considered to have a higher risk. A bunch of these cops have already quit or retired. Also, just today, with everyone wondering what's on that tape, a judge declined to allow the release of the footage to the public for at least 30 days. So, my question to you and our online audience, what the hell is on these tapes? And do you think it's a good idea not to show the tapes right now? Let's start with Lizzie on this.
I think we all know what's on the tape. I think we all can guess, given what we've seen in the past in situations like this. Use the worst part of your imagination and multiply it times 10, and that's probably what's on that tape. To answer the second part of your question, honestly, I don't necessarily have a problem with the judge's decision here. The right people so far have seen what's on the tape, including the family. So they showed an extended version of the tape to the family today. And unfortunately, I feel bad that they even had to witness that. No one wants to see the murder of their loved one in real time. But I think the judge is onto something here, because at this point, in this moment in time, what does the state of North Carolina have to gain by releasing that tape right now, today, when everyone's emotions are at an all-time high? So I think it may, help the situation if people are allowed to take a deep breath and simmer down. However, if what we think is on the tape is on the tape, they still might have to do a preemptive state of emergency whenever they decide to release it to the public, or it may not ever be released to the public. I mean, it could be a case where, this is only evidence that is released at trial, nothing before. So the public should be prepared for that as well.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Robbie?
Well, that's what Liz was saying. Just in the state of North Carolina, that dash cam footage would have to be released by the judge. It would have to be an order from the court to release that footage. I can appreciate that they want to complete the investigation before releasing the dash cam footage, but I can also appreciate the furor, why people want to see this video, the outrage, because there's been a history of systemic violence and targeted police brutality against Black people. And if this is another instance of it, and I think that's the only reason why they would declare a state of emergency, I'm very curious. I would like to see what's on that tape. But yeah, I mean, it's like Liz said, that the right people got to see it. The family got to see the footage, and she nailed it
And the
right on the head.
investigator.
Now, I should be clear.
Who wants to
The,
see that, right?
the family only got to see an edited 20-second version of it, because they didn't get to see the full tape.
I thought they saw the
Yeah.
full tape. They
Nope,
didn't see the full tape
they have
today.
not released the full tape even to the family.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Yeah, they saw the 20-second.
yeah,
So
they saw
yeah,
the
it's
shooting and then
so
so 20 seconds following the shooting. That's all they said they saw.
so it begs the question. It begs the questions. What aren't they sharing? What's missing from the story? And it's
I feel like
I'm,
there's some
I'm afraid.
dialogue that's missing. I think,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
I think there's some
And if you come
dialogue.
in 7 officers and you're loaded for bear, you're coming in SWAT style, you're expecting a confrontation. Well, then if you're going in expecting a confrontation, you may create a confrontation. You may create a situation if you're already, I mean, 7 guys SWAT style. That's a lot.
Now,
I
Gianni,
think.
so I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, Gianni, you've had to see a lot of these, being part of the show. I don't know if you would have seen a lot of things that we show on the show, but you've had to see a lot of horrible things, and as a young college student, I mean, what is going through your head? What do you think is going
Um, I feel like in regards to what could have possibly been on that video, could have been something close to George Floyd. It could have been something that evoked that type of rage or emotion. I think that unlike unlike you guys, I do feel like the video should be released simply because the family wants it to be publicly released. And there's a lot of like Black Lives Matter and just like a lot of like activists that want it to be shown, not only for them to like get a reaction out of it, but it's for us to really see what happened. And like I feel like it was Benjamin Crump that mentioned it, in regards to now we have like technology to actually go through things so that we can see for ourselves like if justice is being served. So I feel like that video is very important. It's like a piece of evidence. It's not just, but I do understand how heavy it can be, and I understand why the judge did that. Like given Chauvin trial just happened, Dante Wright was just killed in a different area, but it all makes sense. It makes sense. But I think that I don't know. I'm almost like all or nothing. I'm a very like cut and dry kind of person. So it's like let's get do all of it since all of this is happening. It's like at once with police killings and these mass killings and just guns and all of these weird things, civil rights, weird stuff happening. I feel like let's just do it all at once. So go ahead and put that out there and like let's see the truth for what it is instead of holding it off
on?
making people not feel as deeply about it when they do finally maybe show it and it's like a redacted version where it's like blurred out. It's weird. I don't know.
So
I
you
don't
want it
like,
raw. You want to know.
yeah,
You want to see the reality of the situation. Yeah, I
yeah.
get that. I get that. I mean, I can appreciate it. I'm I'm a little torn, but I'm more leaning towards. I believe that he made the right decision. Things are like really, really about to just go off down in North Carolina. They are. It's almost like they're hoping to get it so that they can go off. It's like emotions are
And that's
so high.
That's my fear,
Yeah,
that people are sitting by chomping at the bit, waiting for the release of the tape, regardless of what's on the tape.
yeah.
So then they can act.
There's a
And so
group of
that's why
people.
I,
There's a
I,
group of
I
people
agree with
just ready to show out just to show out. I mean,
Do you think that
there's
these
always
people
whenever you
will
have
be
riots,
like
there's always two
violent?
groups of people. Hold on a second. So there's always two groups of people in a riot. There's people that protest peacefully who want to get their point
Mm-hmm.
across, but there are people who specifically want to riot, steal, do all the other things. And there are typically
Opportunists.
two groups. Yeah, right. And that's just to take advantage of a situation, which is not what we want. So I don't know. I'm kind of like I'm kind of feel like let's let the temper down a little bit. Let's you know get some of the rioters, those bad actors that are looking for an opportunity, um, so that they don't just have because I want people to protest. When we see this, we need to be out there protesting. We all need to be out there protesting the situation.
But they may always be there. Those people, of course, there's those type of people
It's
that
true.
just riot because like there's a rave. So they may always be there. But I do understand what you guys mean. Like the temperature is hot right now when
It is.
it's very hot. So I understand, but I don't know. I just feel like go with the momentum, read the room. Like, why would you not
But
show
that's
people the
my
people
point.
that have good intentions with the video, not the
But
people that are like,
that's my point.
Hmm.
Read the
Agreed.
room. The room right now says no. Now is not the time. And again, it's not mandatory that the tape be released to the public. It could
yeah,
be
it's not
Ever.
held
mandatory.
until
Yeah.
trial as part of discovery, and then that's when the prosecution, if they haven't seen it already, which I'm sure they have, but the prosecution would have the opportunity to share it with the family. But as a part of public domain, like they don't have to show it to
It's
us.
true.
Um,
Mhm.
so it's one of those things where I think we've gotten to a point now where situations like this, you do have to read the room. And you do have to say, am I showing this for the greater good with the consequence? And if so, does that consequence outweigh the public's right to know?
Yeah.
So
It's a tough. It's
yeah,
a tough one. It's a tough one. I mean,
it's a very, it's,
I,
it's a very tough
because I
decision.
really want to know what happened. I want to see. I ultimately want to see the entire video. I'm not gonna lie.
The
I want to
family
see the
really
entire
needs
video
to know what happened, like the entire video, like you said,
because
they
I'm
do.
tired of this shit being swept under the rug and people not, trying to hide behind, thing. I mean, these cops have been hiding, and you have a topic a little bit later next that we're gonna go over it. I mean, these cops are just bad. There's so many bad cops out there, and yes, there are good cops. I'm not saying that they're all bad. There are good cops out there, but there are a lot of bad cops, and
Mhm.
I'm just tired. We have to make a change. A change has to happen.
So in the comment section, Mike Winter said, holding back the video is not going to prevent the riot, might delay the protest, also might not. And I agree with that.
Yes,
However,
I agree.
I, giving everyone a chance to take a breath also gives the city, Elizabeth City, the state of North Carolina, the opportunity to prepare for what could be coming, and prepare in a way where they're not necessarily as aggressive as they normally would be. Hopefully,
Hmm.
prepare in a way where they don't take military tactics against protesters. Prepare in a way where BLM steps in and says, everyone, we can
Calm down.
protest, but we need to do it calmly. So I think, yeah, I
Yes.
think everyone at this point just needs to take a breath, needs to take a breath. And people need to, if you are an activist in North Carolina, in Elizabeth City, you need to do your job and calm people down. Don't incite anything. Because the last thing we need is another situation where people are rioting and potentially get hurt. And the more we see these types of situations, the more violent they're going to be. I think overall, we've been fairly lucky that most of the damage with a lot of these
Property
protests,
damage.
when they turn violent, have been property damage. That's not going to be the case if we keep this up moving forward.
There are a lot of people that say, "Burn it down, let it burn." That's part of the protest. If rioting is what happens, and there is a faction of rioters, so be it. That's just part of the protest. That's how you get
Burn what,
your point across. What do you guys think on that?
burn what down, though? And a lot of times, the people who are saying that do not live in the cities that they're talking about.
Mhm.
They are on the periphery. They are living in other cities in the comfort of their own home, protesting in their living rooms. They are not
And
in the center of what's going on. Now, do I think people need to get out there and make their voices heard? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I kind of, in some respects, when people say burn it down, what do you mean? Burn what down?
mm.
Hmm.
Burn your
In the
neighborhood
US and
down?
Canada,
Burn
we're
down?
fortunate. We're very fortunate in North America that we have freedom of assembly. We have
Mhm.
that right to assemble, peaceful assembly. when a peaceful assembly, through peaceful assembly, you can get a message across. You can drive a message across. When the rioters, when the opportunists latch onto what you're doing, it really taints your brand. It taints your message. It detracts from what you're actually trying to do. I get that violent protests and rioting absolutely gets media coverage and gets a lot of attention. It really helps to draw to the issues at hand. But if you riot, you're going to screw up everybody else's right to that peaceful assembly, and that's something that we need to protect. So I really echo what you're saying, Liz. If you're showing up, keep people calm, let heads level.
And also, riot recovery is never fair, especially to the innocents who get caught up, to the people who lose their businesses, to the people who lose their property, to the people who could potentially lose their homes or be hurt. No one ever thinks about the aftermath of a riot. And I understand the intent. I understand the passion. I understand the anger. And I understand that something needs to be done. But if we're going to riot, let's not riot randomly. If we're going to riot, riot with a purpose that is going to provide a means to an end, not just randomly going down the street, burning down shops, burning down people's property that have nothing to do with the issue at hand.
All right. We've got a ton of comments online, so I'm going to try to get to a bunch of them. Jacqueline Robbins says, no one wants to see an edited 20-second tape. Straight up bullshit. Ernest Cooper says, I can't imagine the trauma that the family had watching that tape. Sherry Blaine Priest says, I don't know about anyone else, but I think full investigations are in order. Full disclosure must be part of our narrative going forward, whether that be an immediate persons affected. It is a way to begin to continue. Documented occurrences need to be made available in full. Jose says, what are they hiding? Alan says, I agree with the judge's decision, as this can be as simple as nothing is there. But in this state of affairs, the public will certainly find something. That being said, it can be a horrifying event. Time will tell, but it doesn't discount public perception.
I almost want to sit back like this. Like my head is so big on
Yes,
the screen.
something happened to you. The camera just zoomed in all of a sudden. Sherry Blaine Priest, Jacqueline Rob says, thankfully we have a DOJ, Department of Justice, that isn't going to sweep these things under the rug. Let's see. Holding back the video is not going to prevent the riot. You read that. Yep. Let's see. Mike Wolf says, if what's on the video is bad enough that it would cause riots, it's bad enough that the cops should be arrested and charged already.
Of course. Of course.
I mean, that begs the reason, why hasn't that happened? I mean, if we're talking, there should be no reason to hide the video if it's, well, I guess it still could be a reason to hide the video. I mean, sometimes there's certain situations that can be perceived a certain way. That may or may not have been a certain way. Take, for example, the young lady in, was it Columbus? Was it Ohio? Who had the knife and was going and was shot by the officers.
Oh, yeah.
Initially, it looked like she was just shot by the officers for no good reason. And, the body cam footage, other footage showed something different, which was fortunate in that situation. But, it could be misconstrued by the what's on that tape. We don't know.
I think one of the things we have to take into consideration is we now live in a news cycle where all of the news we get is immediate.
Yeah.
It's a 24-hour news cycle.
Yes.
We are used to getting things in real time right away.
Yes.
And so when something like this happens, the public expects immediate action without an investigation and without due process. And when I say due process, I'm not saying that in respect of me, being on the side of law enforcement. However, everyone deserves due process. Everyone deserves an investigation. Even the criminal, even the police officers. And so for something like this, where you don't necessarily want to have everything or decision made automatically because you may not trust the police department. You want an independent panel, an independent investigation, someone with fresh eyes to come in and assess everything. So that's why I think it's taking a little while. And I think you said, Neo, that some officers have already quit
Yeah.
or
Or
left the
retired.
police, retired, which is unfortunate because that means they'll get a pension. But these things take a little bit of time. Now, it shouldn't take 6 months. It shouldn't take a year, but it's not going to be something that happens overnight also.
Yeah. Totally agree. All right. We've got to get on to our